Yesterday, an absolute catastrophe struck Nepal, leaving a nearly 100-kilometer-long path of significant destruction. And sadly, I fear that there may have been more than 10,000 fatalities, with multiple villages being completely wiped out. On August 26, 2026, a portion of a towering mountain and its glacier fell by thousands of feet, and this debris avalanche soon transitioned into a record-setting flash flood. Racing along a river, areas were impacted by a wall of water at least 50 meters high with speeds exceeding 180 kilometers per hour or 112 miles per hour, first wiping and burying any trace of a major border crossing between Nepal and China. It then went on for another nearly 70 kilometers, wiping out village and town alike, with some spots being buried by hundreds of feet thick of material. So many people in the disaster area had absolutely no chance of escaping once they saw what was racing towards them, and currently the number of fatalities from this record-setting disaster is about 400, with more than 1,000 missing. However, I fear that this figure, even if all of those missing do represent fatalities, to be a notable underestimate of just how deadly this natural disaster was. I spent multiple hours geolocating every single bit of image, text, and video of this disaster to try and map exactly what was destroyed and where. Where there was no footage or reports, I modeled what the flash flood likely reached based on known damage up to that point. With that in mind, I estimate that a total of 2,524 structures were destroyed, including 41 multi-story office or apartment buildings. I also modeled that at least 200 vehicles were swept away with people in them based on the expected amount of traffic on the local roads. Based on population statistics, this suggests that there may be as many as 10,104 fatalities. However, my methodology for arriving at these figures is flawed and could be quite inaccurate. For example, I may have accidentally counted square or rectangular-shaped patches of farmland as structures, and I may have counted abandoned buildings as inhabited. It's also possible that many of the structures I marked as destroyed actually weren't impacted, as once again a lot of modeling instead of verifiable evidence was used. Additionally, every structure was treated as if it was not empty and instead occupied at the time the flash flood hit. Regardless, this is the first time in a landslide-related disaster where I've suggested the death toll to be possibly notably higher rather than lower than official estimates. Now, here's my attempt at modeling where the disaster impacted, and I want to note that the shaded brown region indicating the suspected flood inundation level, I stopped only at the point after which I could not confirm that any more structures beyond it were destroyed. There may still very well have been additional damage beyond that point, and there definitely still was flooding in some spots beyond it. Now, in my opinion, the danger is not seemingly over quite yet, and I will explain why I think this in a subsequent video on this disaster.